Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy Nitrostorm here, back with a pretty quick video. Just a should you summon and a before you summon, any scenario kind of summon in case of, you might regret summoning or something. This is for the people that might not exactly pull for Eula because you like the character. Well, of course, if you like the character, by all means, this is not for you. This is mainly for the people who are mainly free to play and deciding if the character is good enough and worth their primos. Let's get right into it. So, we're mainly going to be talking about her constellations, and we're going to be working our way up. So, the C1 is, solid C1, basically free 30% physical damage bonus. Now, the main issue I have actually is the C2. C6 is also a big problem, but C2 is also pretty important. Now, it says here it decreases the cooldown of Ice Tide Vortex holding mode, making it identical to the press cooldown. Let's go over that real quick. So, initially, the cooldown for the press is 4 seconds, and what that does is that you get a Grim Heart stack, as well as, dealing cryo damage. And then the hold E, it's a 10-second cooldown. As you can see, it's a 6-second cooldown difference because the hold goes down from 10 seconds to 4 seconds. And what the hold does is that you do AoE cryo damage, as well as reducing the surrounding opponent's physical res and cryo res. Initially 23%, and then as you level that up, it goes up to 25, I think, maybe more. But, at first you're like, it's cool. You're not going to be holding E that often. However, you see, her artifact set, the Pale Flame set, the 4-piece set, it states, when an elemental skill hits an opponent, attack is increased by 9% for 7 seconds. This effect stacks up to 2 times and can be triggered once every 0.3 seconds. And then once 2 stacks are reached, the 2-set effect is doubled. So it becomes 50% physical damage bonus, as well as 18% attack at max stacks. Now that sounds lovely, and we already know that with the 4 seconds tap E cooldown, the press cooldown, you can easily get max stacks in 8 seconds and can keep that up forever. Now, the only issue is that if you do the hold E, it's a 10-second cooldown, which is longer than the 7 seconds duration that the Pale Flame set has. Therefore, if you ever use the hold E, which you would need to do at some point during your battles, then you will lose your stacks, losing your 25% physical damage, as well as losing 18% attack. And then what the Constellation 2 does is that you can do whatever, tap E, hold E, whenever you want, and you will keep the maximum stacks for the Pale Flame set at 100%, having it max stacks whenever and whatever you do. Now, it could be seen as a slight nitpick because I do have a C0/C1 solution where you would just tap E during most fights, and then you would save your hold E until after you use your burst. So the normal combo would be to press E into burst, and then you do your normal attacks, and then near the end you do hold E so that the enemy will be debuffed in physical resistance just in time for your Q to finish the 7 seconds and deal physical damage, and you will still have maximum Pale Flame stacks. Of course, shortly after that you will lose your stacks, but at least the damage output from your burst isn't hindered. Now, last but not least, the C6. So the other constellation, C3, C4, and C5, it's the normal. The C4 is also pretty strong, but it's not as big as C2 and C6. And then C6, the reason I'm going to be talking about this one is that if you take a look at her burst, it has a maximum stack of 30, So essentially, when you press your burst, you initially deal cryo damage, and then a sword will start following you for up to 7 seconds. And during that time, any attack you do with Eula, so normal attack, elemental skill, and elemental burst, if they deal damage to opponents, it will charge the sword, which can gain an energy stack once every 0.1 seconds. Now, I think you can get more stacks if you fight multiple opponents, so getting 30 stacks against multiple opponents isn't difficult to do, but when you're fighting a boss, which for the most part will be on their own, you won't be able to hit the maximum stack of 30, unless you get C6, where you start with 5 stacks once you activate your burst, so rather than trying to get 30 stacks, you would only need to get 25 more to reach maximum. And not only that, any of her attacks will now have an additional 50% chance to grant an extra stack of energy. So every hit, you get 1 energy plus 50% chance for another energy. So 50% chance to get 2 energy for every hit, making it even more possible to get 30 stacks. Now, I'm just here, as like a quick PSA, like a before you summon, just to let you guys know the limitations for a free-to-play C0, maybe C1 Eula. And overall, she will still do some good damage. But if you're expecting to do big damage like you're seeing on YouTube right now, with the C6 as well as R5 of the new Claymore, then I would assume the damage to be about less than half of that in terms of burst damage at least. But overall, I still believe that Eula is a good character. I think I'm going to be pulling for her. We will see. But in any case, it's your boy Nitrostorm. Hopefully you found this should you summon before you summon type video useful. I'll see you guys in the next stream or video. Peace.